And the lights go green for the start of the 2016 season for the Tag Super Series at Lithgow. Everyone's able to move through turn 1 without any accidents, going through to turn 2. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ozzy here with a brand new video for the beginning of the Tag Super Series for 2016. The season kicks off at Sunnyside Lithgow for round 1. I'm super excited for the season. I've got my dad in the car with me who's going to give us some insight into the season right now.
What's the goals for this season, Dad? Watch out for the cars, mate.
To finish.
To finish, yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm hoping that little bit of advice is just a red herring because we want to set the world on fire. We're going to roll straight into qualifying. Qualifying is essentially the most important part of the Tag Super Series in my opinion. It predetermines where you're going to start for the first 2 heats. And generally speaking, if you're more up the front, you're going to avoid being part of all the carnage if there is a crash in the first 2 corners, which happens often, unfortunately, in these bigger fields. So after about 2 laps, I'm already over the back of 95 and I decide to pull over, let the guy behind me through, give myself a bit of breathing room. I want to open up as much space as I can to give myself clean air for a couple of solid laps. Unfortunately, what happens to me, after another lap or 2, I get back in with this battle pack, and I decide to do something that's pretty desperate. I pull completely offline, and I let about 6 or 7 carts through at the expense of, wasting another lap, and more importantly, you notice all the crap on the tire that I've picked up, all the bad rubber, all the little stones, and that, that usually takes about half a lap to wear off. So my next lap, which is my final lap, is going to have to be a flying lap, and this is what the end of that product is, and I think I only managed to get 15th at this point, which is way behind where we want to be. We're really shooting for possibly a top 10 spot, and I reckon we had enough pace to get in the top 8. And we go straight into race 1. Unfortunately, nothing exciting happens for us here. I happen to back off halfway through the race because I have a bit of a technical issue with my lights flashing in front of me that our temperature has raised itself beyond 65 degrees. It's actually fluctuating about 10 to 20 degrees. I start driving into conservation mode. I'm richening up the engine as much as I possibly can. We later found out that the entire fault was just a bit of dirt getting in between where the plug goes into the socket. Alright, so we've lined up in files of 2 for the start of race 2. We're still kicking it off in 15th position. I'm trying to get as close behind 46 as I possibly can. And there is a bit of a gap there, but there's 4 wide already on the straight, and they are merged back into 2 lanes. Everyone gets through turn 1. Really okay at that point in time, and all of a sudden it's just chaos. Oh, there are cars everywhere, people on the left and right. I really want to go have a look at that replay and just digest what has actually happened to have caused that. What you can see from my position is that there's already a bit of a dirt pickup on the outside of the track. As we roll a bit forward, and it kind of already looks like 35 is pointing into the direction of the apex of the corner, and Robbie's going to be fighting for a bit of the same real estate. In fact, he gets a bit of airtime as he's coming on the outside of it. We actually have some front-on photos from QuickPixel, who takes all the professional shots at all these events, so if you want to go and see more photos from the event itself, feel free to go take a look at his website. At the moment, it's just pure chaos. It's like the Tour de France, the ripple effect from the front to the back for the peloton, and everyone's just tripping over each other. Getting right back into the action, I'm on hot pursuit of number 44 as we continue on with the race. And it appears as though he's making a couple little key hiccups here or there with nudging the curb, and I'm able to catch back up on top of him. I'm not able to pass him for the first couple of laps, and we have like a weird exchange going into turn 2. I actually think he nudges the brake on entry to the corner where most people usually lift and roll and then back on the accelerator. And at the moment I'm psyching myself up. I know I'm faster than the guy in front of me. I know I can get around him. It's just a case of finding the right opportunity. And kind of presents itself where I unconventionally go around the outside and I get my neck far up enough so he can see me, so I'm not going to get cut off on the outside of the track, and I hold my line and I make the move stick. And we finish that race in a not so shabby 6th position. This is it. This is where it all counts, the grand finale, the coup de grace. In the warm-up lap, I'm making sure the engine is in the optimum running temperature. I'm often on the brake pedal, building up friction between the brake disc and the pads to exert heat, so when we heavy brake into turn 1, we don't overcook the brakes, causing them to fade later in the race. The tyres have about half a pound less in pressure, as we want the Dunlop DFMs to come on at about lap 5 or 6 when the pack sorts itself out for this longer distance race. We've queued up for our rolling start. We're 10th on the grid. Starting on the outside always has its handicap at Lithgow, but we make do with what we have by running cautiously through turn 1. Moving down into turn 2, there's already a queue on my inside, and the momentum from that run is going to let another 1 to 2, 3 carts through. We're pretty much hung out to dry. We're not able to force ourselves back into the queue, as that would probably cause a pile up. but we're able to slot right behind Kyle Sandona, who's immediately going to go back on the attack. Under brakes, Sandona is able to make the pass, and now what we want to do is lynch into the back of Sandona as he's going to force his way through the field. But first of all, we have to get by Malone, which is easier said than done. In fact, Malone has a go back at Sandona, who pulls a crisscross. He's going to be on the wrong side of the track for the next turn, but Sandona holds his ground on the outside. It's going to come straight down a raw power down the straight as both of them neck to neck, but Sandona is able to get his neck out and overlap for the position back into turn 1. Now I'm going to line up Malone for the back straight, which starts off right here, getting a good enough exit so I can carry the speed through the corner onto the back straight. I'm able to pull out of the slipstream under brakes, and then I shut the door to claim the position. Now all our focus is on the battle pack ahead. While they're mixing it up between one another, we should easily be able to attach back on the end of the train and possibly make another 2 places. Wow. I'm not even gonna have a look at what just happened. Let's just wrap this episode up with a bit of a father-son D&M, because I'm done. But before we do, and you want to watch more Go Kart videos, be sure to subscribe with the button above, because I'll be posting new content soon enough.
Having milkshakes out at Blackheath. And yeah, disappointing result for the weekend. Another DNF to add to the resume, Dad.
Yes.
What do you think? At least it wasn't mechanical.
Yes. Wasn't mechanical.
Wasn't mechanical. That's good.
No mechanical faults. We live to see another day.